So I don't know why cases like this are never really taken seriously until something seriously happens. So now, as you were. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, hi, I'm AJ and this is a dose of true crime. We talk about all things true crime. So true crime is your cup of tea. Consider subscribing to the channel after watching or listening to today's case. And at the end of every video, I always have the playlist available for you to click on if you want to continue watching more stories from this channel. So the couple in today's story was destined for doom from the beginning. And between the two of them, one of them would be called in for questioning and they would tell a chilling story that would send shockwaves through this country's nation. Before we get into what that was, let's kind of dial back a little bit to who the couple was and why they were destined for doom from jump. So this story takes place in India and y'all, where are my manners? We have a special guest here today and I didn't even acknowledge him. I'm so sorry. So Dr. Doom is going to be hanging out with us for the rest of October, obviously because it's Halloween. So after that, he'll be gone. Just like your ex-boyfriend. He didn't find that funny. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this lovey-dovey couple here. So we're going to talk about the first person involved in this relationship, which her name was Shraddah Walker. So Shraddah was in her late 20s, like around 26, 27 at the time of this story. And she lived at home with her parents, her mom, her dad, and her little brother. Now this story takes place in India. For those who are not really familiar, it's very common practice with a lot of families outside of America for children to stay at home well past 18 until they're basically able to find a partner to continue the rest of their life with. So basically the parents take care of their children until someone else can relieve them of their duties, is essentially how that goes. I mean, granted, times have changed a lot, so it's not like we're trading farm and goat for a girlfriend or a wife, you know what I mean? But they're still taking care of your children until someone else is willing and able to. Unlike America, where everyone is so quick to kick their child out at 18 years old, knowing that adulthood is the trenches. It's the ghetto. And you want to subject your child to that so soon? You still want to send your baby out there? I ain't judging you. But in any case, that's just how things work in a lot of countries outside of America. So yes, Shraddah was living at home with her parents, but she was working. She still was a very responsible adult, despite the fact that she lived at home. She did everything on her own for the most part. She was pretty independent. And at some point, she decided that she wanted to embark on finding love. I'm such a hopeless romantic. I love when people want to find love. It's so cute. So in any case, Shraddah decided to hop on a dating app. So it's unclear as to what dating app it was that Shraddah signed into, but based on the details that are released later on in the story, we're going to assume that she used Bumble, but if it wasn't, then it wasn't. Now, I'm not really familiar with how dating apps work because I've never personally used them myself. So eventually Shraddah got on this app and she did what she did. I don't know, swiping one way, left, right, or matched with someone, or maybe she just saw his profile. Whatever the case was, she landed on a guy that caught her interest, and his name was Aftab Poonwalla. So Aftab, he was a 28-year-old food blogger from Mumbai. And like I said, he literally caught her attention like that. So the two hit it off, and eventually they decided that they wanted to get in a relationship, but it's unclear as to how much time passed from when they initially met until the time they decided to get in a relationship. But nonetheless, that is what they wanted to do. So the two are very excited about dating and starting this new journey together. But it seems like they were the only two who were excited about their new union. So basically, the two were from different religious backgrounds, and that was the main source and cause of the riffraff between the families wanting them to separate or not even embark on this relationship. So Shraddah, she was of Hindu religion, and Aftab was Muslim, and the two do not get along. They're like water and oil that just don't mix. Now, this next bit of information that I'm about to share with you guys actually comes from an Indian native. I actually met her through Ubering, and she was so sweet, and we got to talking about true crime, and I was telling her about all these cases that I'm going to be covering, and this was one of them. And she was like, oh, I think I heard of that. She, mentioned a detail, which I'm going to share with you guys later on. And I was like, yeah, that's the one. So it was just so cool. I don't know why. I just get so happy when I hear people that like to watch true crime like me, even though it's so dark. But I don't know. It's like a bonding moment. But in any case, yeah, we talked about that story. And then she actually reminded me of another case that I wanted to share with you guys, which is so crazy. Also based in India as well. I didn't know it was in India at the time. I thought it was here in the United States, but it was in fact in India. But anyway, she said that more than likely the reason why the two families were so against them dating is because where they lived, right, is near like Pakistan and other countries that are known for trafficking. So it was common practice for these men to recruit these women, pretend that they love them and want to take care of them, but in actuality they would just try to convert them over to their religion, to Muslim, and then marry them and then send them off to be trafficked, basically. So I'm not saying that all Muslim men do this now, okay? I'm not saying all of them do that, but it's highly active over there in that region. And so I think that was like the main concern for why Shraddah's family did not want her to entertain this man, because they just felt like he was evil, he was no good, and there was nothing positive coming out of this relationship. But unfortunately, the couple decided that they were going to go ahead and move forward with the union. Now, as for Aftab's parents, they were in his ear as well, but Aftab lived on his own. He was fully self-reliant, so he didn't really care about what they had to say to him. He was going to move how he wanted to move, and that was that. Unfortunately for Shraddah, it wasn't as easy for her because, again, she did live at home with her parents. So they basically gave her the ultimatum, like, listen, if you continue embarking with this man, if you continue this journey, your journey here living under our roof ends. And I think they thought that it was going to scare her into her right mind, and she would just be like, okay, my bad, I'm not gonna do it. But she did it. And she was just all about her man, her man, her man. So she packed her bags and she moved in with Aftab. So that's basically how their relationship started. Like I said, destined for doom. It didn't start off good. It didn't end out good either. The two couples started dating and things seemed to be good, at first. You know how it is with new relationships. Everything is like butterflies, rainbows, and sunshine. And then tragedy struck. But not in the way you're probably thinking. Unfortunately, Shraddah's mother passed away in 2020. So she had to go back to her hometown because she actually moved out from her hometown to Delhi to live with Aftab. But again, when her mother passed away, she had to go back home and, celebrate her mom's life and grieve with her family in peace. So that's what she did. Now, during this time when she went back home, she did confide in her father about some things that were going on with Aftab. And basically, it was what her family was telling her. He wasn't a good man. He was abusing her, and she just was fed up because he wasn't doing the things that he promised he would do. And then they were always bickering, arguing all the time. So it was kind of like a I told you so moment for her dad, but I don't really think he cared much about that, more so than her safety and just telling her to come home, stay home, like literally just stay here and you won't have to deal with that, because like what else do you expect him to do? Like, I know if I was her dad, I probably would have ran up on Aftab and beat his behind. I would have beat his ass. You hear me? Yo, I'm so problematic. So once Shraddah confides in her father, I don't know if she was expecting him to run up on Aftab and settle scores man to man, but that's not what happened. And basically her dad told her, like, listen, we told you not to go to this man. However, you are more than welcome to come back home if you leave him. And with that said, even though she was unhappy and she expressed the problems that they were having after the grieving of her mother, she returned back home to Delhi to continue living with Aftab, which is crazy to me. But that also goes to show that things were probably super serious to the point where he basically, like, mentally brainwashed her into thinking that she couldn't go anywhere. Because remember, she's living in his house. So basically, he runs everything. He has the money. And he probably was just talking down to her every day, beating her every day. Just when you endure that day in and day out, it definitely can take a toll on you. And you start to believe the things that they're saying to you. So I'm pretty sure that probably happened to Shraddah, even though she was able to physically leave to go grieve for her mom. Something in her told her she still had to go back home. So in any case, after she returned back to her miserable life with Aftab, since her dad really couldn't do anything for her, she started complaining to her friends as well. And they were actually really surprised that things were this bad in the relationship. And so from there, her friends decided that they were going to pull up. Skirt, skirt. What you doing, Aftab? You know how it is with friends. When friends are told that their friend is being mistreated, they don't like that and they don't take too kindly to that. I really applaud Shraddah's friends for stepping in, regardless of the fact that they did not support the union. They were still supportive of their friend, regardless of their personal feelings towards their relationship. So I really respect them for that, because they don't play about Shraddah. So basically, they pulled up and they were trying to find out, like, what's the issue here, bro? Like, why are we hearing about all these problems? Basically, they were just trying to settle things in the house. They didn't want anything but peace for Shraddah and Aftab, and to work things out so that, you know, they could prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. That tell us we were wrong about you guys, okay? That's what we want. We want y'all to prove us wrong. So after they had their visit with Aftab and Shraddah, they assumed that things would eventually work themselves out, in which they did. So much so that Shraddah had completely stopped complaining about the relationship altogether, and things were good. So, you know how adulting is. Everyone gets busy, and sometimes you can go maybe a day or a week or even months without talking to your friends. But in most cases, you're going to at least be posting updates and things like that online. So your friends can kind of keep tabs on you without necessarily having to talk to you. But eventually, you'll circle back around and catch each other up on the nitty-gritty details at some point. And so this was very much the dynamic of their friendship as well. So eventually time passed by, and they noticed that Shraddah wasn't as active online like she normally was. And that was a bit suspicious, but again, adulting, sometimes you get busy in life. You know, maybe they're working on the relationship, maybe being online was too much, and so they just kind of left things alone. But between text messages, phone calls, they realized that something was just off, because if anything, she would eventually reach back out to them. And so one of her friends decided to contact her and see what was going on. And unfortunately, it slipped through the cracks, and he kind of got distracted again with adulting. And then he realized, like, after 2 weeks that she had never responded. So he made another attempt, this time being more diligent to making sure she responded. And when he realized that time had gone by again and there was no response, that something was wrong, because there wasn't any riffraff between Shraddah or any of her friends. There was no reason for her to just blatantly ignore them like this, which again was very abnormal. So the friends reached out to Shraddah's dad, and Shraddah's dad was actually pretty surprised with what they were telling him. And it also made him realize that he hadn't heard from her in a while either. So now everyone has the big question of where's Shraddah? Why is she so silent? And there is only one person who could possibly have the answer, and that is their arch nemesis, Aftab Poonwalla. Did I say that right? The arch nemesis or narch? Enemy. We're just going to say enemy, okay? So anyway, Shraddah's dad decides to reach out to Aftab to see what's going on with his daughter, because no one's heard from her, and it's very unlike her to just ghost everybody. And of course, he got a cold shoulder. Aftab did not want to talk to them. He was not trying to give them updates. Aftab was like, I'm a grown-ass man. I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to update you on nothing going on in this household, basically. And so with that said, Shradda's dad decided, all right, well, if you ain't gonna tell me, I'm gonna get the police to do it. So he reported Shraddah missing, and this is where the story starts to take a turn for the worse. So now the police are involved. They decide to pay a visit to Aftab and see where Shraddah is. And so when they notice that she's nowhere to be found, they redirect the questions to him, and they're like, okay, well, where is Shraddah? And he's like, he doesn't know. And they're like, okay, so you don't know where your living girlfriend is, but you didn't report her missing? That's weird. That's suspicious. So in any case, he goes on to say that they got into a fight and she just left one day and hasn't come back. And so they're just looking at him like, we were born, just not yesterday. Just not yesterday, Aftab. So in any case, and after, he tries to come up with a story to cover up where she is, they finally decide that they're going to do their own investigation to see exactly what happened to Shraddah and when's the last time she was known to be active anywhere. So they compared her bank statements to her phone activity, and it was determined that the last time she was actually active on everything was around May of 2022. And at this time, when they're investigating the situation, it's September of 2022. So once they realized they weren't getting anywhere with Aftab, they decided to compare his phone records to that of Shraddah, and they realized that his phone was pinging from the same tower that her phone was pinging from the day that she was last seen with any activity on her phone. Yeah, you're busted. So they came back to Aftab yet again, like, listen here, you got but one more time to lie to us. You got but one more time. So they bring him in for further questioning, and eventually he just runs out of stories to tell them, and he breaks down and confesses to what happened to Shraddah. So according to Aftab, he stated that Shraddah was putting a lot of pressure on him to get married. She wanted a family. These are all things that she expressed from the beginning, and apparently he was going for it. But after she moved in, it seemed like the script flipped and he wasn't going for it. And he got tired of her constantly asking him when he was going to propose, when he was going to get more serious. And eventually the argument got so bad to the point that he lost control and strangled her to death. But that's not even the worst part. After he strangled her, he then dismembered her body into pieces and then put her into bags. And he would go around Delhi, enforce the city, wherever, and distribute the body parts. This man killed his girlfriend, chopped her up, and threw her around town like trash. Just sprinkling her around like fertilizer for the grass. Baby. When those details broke out, India went into a frenzy, okay? A frenzy. This was probably one of the most heinous crimes that they had seen in a long time. So, needless to say, after he confessed, he recanted, but baby, it's too late. It's too late. So there's a very important detail that I didn't remember to share with y'all at this point, but I remembered later and briefly brought it up, but I feel like it needs to be brought up now, and then I'll just insert like a screenshot or something. But at the time that they were interrogating Aftab and they brought him in for questioning, they also had a warrant to search his home. So the reason why he cracked was not because of their impeccable interrogation tactics, but because of some evidence that they found at his place. So digging through his stuff, they came across a handwritten letter which was wedged between the mattress and the box springs. And this handwritten letter was actually allegedly written by Shraddah herself. Now, from what they stated was that this letter was originally supposed to be sent to the local police department because she was aware that her life was in danger. And basically, she had made a promise to Aftab that she was going to leave him because she was unhappy. She wasn't getting what she wanted out of the relationship, which is common practice for anyone who is not thriving in a relationship. And just like she made a promise to leave him, he made good on a threat to kill her if she ever attempted to leave him. And so in this letter, it went into detail about how he was going to do it if he decided to ever act on his threat. And basically, this letter not only served as proof that she was aware she was in danger and that she wanted to protect herself in case he would try to make up a lie that she disappeared or she died under different circumstances, but she died exactly like how it was stated in the letter. And it matched up perfectly with the story that he told them. There's also CCTV footage that caught Aftab walking around at nighttime with a bag, and this bag is believed to have some of the body parts of Shraddah Walker in them. And these were the bags that he would take out in the middle of the night, like around 2, 3 in the morning, and go scatter them around in forests and whatnot. Yeah. This dude was very calculated. It's just so eerie to see him casually walking down this alleyway with a bag that is holding human remains in it. And he's just so calm, casual, like it's just another day in the park while I walk around with these parts that I'm going to distribute around the town. It's just wild that he could be fully functional like this. And what's equally as eerie is that because he's so casual, you wouldn't even think twice about considering him as crazy. Meanwhile, he's carrying parts of a body in a bag, and you're witnessing him execute his murder plan. So needless to say, Aftab was arrested. He was apprehended after making this confession. And it wasn't until November of 2022 that a judge finally approved for them to administer a lie detector test. Now, I'm not really a big fan of lie detector tests only because they have proven to be very faulty in the sense that completely innocent people still fail the test because they're just that nervous. And meanwhile, people who are 100% guilty have found a way to manipulate the test in their favor and pass. So they're not really the most reliable. But I do believe they are useful in the sense of scaring someone into just telling the truth because they know they can't pass the test. And not everybody knows the statistics behind a polygraph test. So therefore, if you know you're about to get administered one, chances are you're just going to come clean because you know you're about to fail. You're not good at taking tests. So that's kind of like why I still like them. But overall, I don't feel like they're that useful. That's just me though. It did work on Aftab because he ended up confessing to where he distributed the body parts. So initially when he made his confession, he only told them that he killed her and chopped her body parts. And then later on, he had released more information that her body was scattered all around town. And he was willing to take them there to the body parts. So when he took the police to a few of the spots, they compared the remains to Shraddah's dad and confirmed that those body parts were in fact Shraddah Walker. And it was at that moment that they realized that he had actually made good on his threat to her. Because in addition to the confession, when they had searched Aftab's home, they had found a handwritten note from Shraddah herself. It was like Shraddah from the past was telling investigators that if something happened to her, he did it. And this is how.
Details of a letter that Shraddah Walker wrote to the police in 2020 in which she reported her boyfriend Aftab Poonawala. Now, the letter seems to be prescient. Walker talked about how Aftab threatens to kill her and cut her up into pieces and throw her away. She also talked about how Aftab's family knew about the violence and the abuse that she was subjected to by her live-in partner. Vedant joining us at this point with the latest on that story. Vedant, horrifying that Shraddah knew all of this and continued to be with Aftab, and she seems to have predicted not just the manner of her death but the disposal of her body. Is this finally going to be a bit of circumstantial evidence that the police can use to show that this was premeditated murder?
Well, absolutely, Ankita. This is going to be a huge evidence once verified by the Delhi police. Remember, the Delhi police sources have told us that they are in touch with the Mumbai police trying to verify this complaint. This complaint dates back to 23rd of November 2020. Now, that is exactly the time when Shradha, in fact, also reached out to her friends saying that, she wants to reach out to the police and that she's being beaten up, she's being abused constantly. That's the time when, those chats also date back to. Now, this letter is extremely crucial because of the details that it carries. Remember, Shradha says that Aftab's parents were well aware of her situation, that they were living together, and that, Aftab used to beat her up and also threatened to kill her. In fact, she also says that Aftab's parents used to visit them every weekend, and they were well aware of the fact that she did not want to live with him. Now, that is crucial because that is something that she also said in her chats, with her friends, that she does not want to continue living with him, and that is something that she says in this letter as well. And also, what is completely horrifying is that she said that Aftab threatened to chop her body. That is exactly what he went on to do 2 years later. Now, what is also important to note here, Ankita, is the fact that this complaint, which is from 2 years ago, why was no action taken back then? Even though Aftab's parents were aware, even though she reached out to the police, no action was taken. And ultimately 2 years later she was murdered. So this letter is going to be crucial because till now, remember, there are no eyewitnesses in the case. There's only Aftab's confession, which is yet to be recorded before a magistrate. So this is going to be crucial because it is Shraddha's own complaint. And today, that polygraph test which will be conducted, Delhi police sources also telling us that this letter will be brought up in that polygraph test as well, because
things probably started escalating and she realized, like, okay, he really might kill me, so if he does, I need them to know that it was him and it wasn't an accident, or however he plans to make this look like. So she literally wrote a letter full of details stating that he said that he was going to unalive her, kill her, if she tried to leave him, which is so crazy to me, because if you're not giving somebody what they want out of the relationship and they're realizing they're never going to get it from you, why would you hold someone back and continue to force them to stay with you if you're not willing to at least meet them in the middle or try? Like, that would never make sense to me. And I feel so bad that she did everything she could to make it work, and when she realized it wasn't working, she wanted out, and he wasn't going to let her have it that way. I will never understand men like that, or women like that either, because women are not we ain't innocent either. There's some crazy ones out there, but that's another story for another time. We're talking about Aftab today. So yeah, you guys, so just when you think all of this is going on, there's still more. So while the police are building their investigation, because they want to make sure that these details, all the evidence sticks, so there's no way that Aftab can weasel his way out of this, a woman comes forward stating that she met Aftab through a dating app, Bumble specifically, which is why I said he more than likely met Shraddah through the Bumble app as well. But, it could have been another one, but I'm just assuming it's the same one, because 9 times out of 10, if you're crazy like that, you're not going to deviate from what works. So anyway, she met him on the app, and eventually he would take her out on a couple dates, and she remembers going over to his house once, and he gave her a piece of jewelry, and they're like, talk more about this jewelry. So she actually gives them the jewelry, and it's like a ring, and so they believe that this ring actually did belong to Shraddah. And so on top of that, what she also did not know is that someone else was on the date with them in his house. She did not know that Shraddah was chopped up in pieces in the refrigerator just a few feet away while they're Netflix and chilling. I literally would shit bricks if somebody told me that. Like, her ancestors were definitely looking out for her. So whenever they bring all of this information to Aftab, he confesses and says, yes, she's actually one of like over 20 women that he dated throughout the summer. And not only was he dating these women throughout the summer, but he was also cheating on Shraddah as well. So he didn't even want to let her leave the relationship, but he was the one cheating on her. So in my opinion, I think Shraddah found out that he was talking to other women, specifically Hindu women. Like, he had a thing for the Hindu girlies. Like, completely obsessed with them because that's all he was talking to. So all these women, all these 20 plus women that he dated, Hindu. So it just doesn't seem like his family was going to get what they wanted regardless. He was going to date a Hindu girl, and I don't know what his mission was. Maybe he was trying to find a girl to traffic, you know, like my Uber trip person said. Like, she was right. Maybe she, you know, she could have been right. She definitely could have been right. But yeah, he was cheating on her. And I believe that she found out, and then they got into an argument. And so that is why he killed her, was because he really knew at that point she was going to leave. Like, it's one thing to not really work on the relationship because you're just lacking. But to find out it's because you're giving the energy that I'm asking for to someone else, I gotta go. There's nothing here for me anymore. But he just couldn't handle that. So in any case, Shraddah's father, you know, he finds out about all of this information, and he believes that not only is Aftab guilty, but he thinks that his family put him up to the idea to kill Shraddah, because there were many times where Shraddah would be in their presence and Aftab would be super disrespectful, super abusive to her in front of them, and they would not even blink an eye. Like, they did not care. They would not try to stop him. They really did not like Shraddah. And I'm just like, that is so foul. That this girl is literally being abused by your child, your demon child, and you will not even whip him into shape. Shraddah's father also stated that he believes that with these dating apps, like, it's just really irresponsible that people are able to just create an account and just access them. He believes that there should be some sort of counseling provided to people so that they can use these apps responsibly. And I mean, I get what he's saying, but that's not going to stop a killer. A killer's going to kill regardless, whether they're counseled at 18 or they're counseled at 25, or if they receive ongoing counseling. If they have plans to do harm, they're going to move forward with it. Some people, it's a compulsion that they can't control. But see, here's what I want to know is this Aftab's first time killing someone, or has he done this before and this is just the first time that he's gotten caught? That's what I want to know. Like, they need to dig deep into his profile to see other females that he's spoken to and if all of them are accounted for. That's what I need to know. Because he could very well be a serial killer and using Bumble as his breeding grounds, which is so scary. And this story actually makes me not want to get on dating apps even more now, because it's just like, you never know who you're going to meet. But granted, you know, whether it's online or in person, but I feel like when you meet someone in person, you can kind of gauge the vibes a little bit better than someone who is pretending to be someone they're not online. But I digress. So also there was a part that I even forgot to mention. Hold on, pause. So at this point, they decide that they're going to go ahead and transport Aftab to jail, right? So on the way to jail, like literally he's in the van and they're in the middle of transporting him to the facility. They are attacked by two sordid men. Like, this is not even I wish I'd be making this up, but this is real. Like, this sounds like a movie. But in any case, two sordid men tried to attack the van in hopes of getting to Aftab. And of course, these men came from a Hindu religion group. I'll put like the symbol on the screen somewhere. I can't remember the name exactly, but it'll be somewhere here. And yeah, basically they were trying to avenge Shraddah's death, you know, life for a life. So they came ready to slice and dice. But in any case, they were not successful. So they were able to apprehend the guys, and they were also hauled off to jail. And Aftab was successfully transported to jail, where he will remain until his trial date. And he's also been placed on 24-hour surveillance as well for, you know, unaliving watch, you know, S-watch. Yes. So yeah, that is the story of Shraddah Walker, and I sincerely want to send condolences to the family and friends of Shraddah, because, you know, they kind of foresaw what she didn't see, and it's just unfortunate that it had to end that way. And as for Aftab, I think they're still awaiting his trial last time I looked, but if there's any more motion in this case, I'll definitely update you guys either in the comment section or in another video. So if you guys want to continue watching more true crime cases, there should be a playlist on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe before you head over to the next story. We're on the road to 4K, and I'll see you in the next case. Stay safe.